going to start this recording from MindTap. And what I want to do today is to demonstrate the training in operating systems. So I'm going to click Operating Systems, and then I'm going to click the Intro to Windows 10, which is the module that this one is for. So again, I have my textbook where I can read, I've got my training, and then I have an exam. Understand that the textbook reading is for your use. The training and the exam go towards your grade. The training has unlimited attempts. The exam has 3 attempts. Let's go into the training. And I'm going to start. And I'll maximize my screen. Let me talk about the screen for just a minute, because this is what both your training and your exam screens are going to look like. This is simulating the desktop on your computer. It probably doesn't look like yours, but regardless of whether it looks like it or not, it acts like it, and it contains the same links that yours will contain, as long as you are operating on a Windows 10 operating system. And of course, that's what we're teaching in this class. So look first in the upper left-hand corner. I have, it tells me that I'm on task 1 of 17. So as I go through this, proceed through this list of tasks, this will tell me what task number I'm on. If I click into these 3 horizontal lines, the window opens up that lists all of the tasks in this particular training simulation, and I can jump into a specific task from this point. I would use this perhaps when I want to study a specific task. Otherwise, may or may not have any use for this. You will find, though, that there's a Mac help here, and there's some shortcut keys. We're going to be talking about shortcut keys throughout this. You have one other button I want you to look at, or one more button to look at, and this is the Restart button. If you start a task and you get confused in the middle of it, or you just want to start it over, all you have to do is to click this circle with the arrow, and that restarts the task that you are currently on. These arrows then will move you forwards and backwards through the list of, in this case, the 17 tasks. So let me click this to shut it down. Here in the middle, you have a drop-down menu. When I click on the arrow, you have 3 choices here. You can observe how the task is done correctly. You can practice how the task is done correctly, and you can apply in order to get the points for that. So if I start down here in the in the right corner, the task instructions are to shut down Windows 10. Okay, let's use these buttons first to see what it says. I'm going to observe, and I'll start, and let's listen.
Shut down Windows to conserve energy between work sessions and secure your data. Click the Start button on the taskbar to display the Start menu. The Start menu is displayed. In the left pane of the Start menu, click Power. You can choose to put the computer to sleep, shut down the computer, or restart Windows. On the Power menu, click Shut Down. Windows shuts down and turns off the power to your computer.
Okay, so the observe is through. Let's go ahead and look at the practice. The observe was something for you to watch. Practice is actually interactive, where you're going to be given the instruction and then you will do it. Let's start practice.
Shut down Windows to conserve energy between work sessions and secure your data. Click the Start button on the taskbar to display the Start menu.
Notice that what it wants me to click on is bordered in red, and I've got an arrow pointing to it. So I'm going to click the Start button.
The Start menu is displayed. In the left pane of the Start menu, click Power.
Again, the arrow is pointing to the link that's bordered in red, and that's where it wants me to click, and that is the Power button. I'll click it now.
You can choose to put the computer to sleep, shut down the computer, or restart Windows. On the Power menu, click Shut Down.
So now it wants me to shut down the computer, or to click on the Shut Down button.
Windows shuts down and turns off the power to your computer.
Okay, so that's one of the ways then that you can learn how to do each of these tasks. You can read the textbook, you can practice in the textbook, you can go into training and use the observe and practice buttons as well. Right now we're going to use the apply, which is where I'm going to do the action without any helps. So instructions say to shut down Windows 10. So I'm going to go over here to my Start button. It's the button in the lower left-hand corner that has the window. I'm going to click on it, and then I've got three icons immediately above it. The lowest bottom icon is the Power button. I'm going to click on Power, and I'm going to select Shut Down. Now notice that I did it, I correctly applied it, and now it's gone on to task 2. I can see that in the upper left-hand corner. I'm now on task 2, and now I have the instructions for task 2. Sign into Windows 10 as user 1 and use Windows as the password. Now, if you look at the screen, this says that I'm user 2 right now. You have the opportunity, the ability in Windows to have multiple users. What you do is you set up users so that each user has their own password. And this allows multiple people to use the same computer, but to keep their work, their documents secure by means of password. It uses password protection. So in this case, it's currently on user 2. I'm going to go down to the lower right left-hand corner, and I'm going to click on user 1. Now it's changed to user 1, and now I'll come in and type the password, and the password is Windows. Now notice that when I type it, you can't see what I typed. If I come over here to this eye, looks like an eyeball with an eyebrow above it, I can click and hold, and it shows me what I typed. So if I made a typo, I can catch it there. Let go of that and then hit the arrow key, and it tells me I've applied it correctly. Number 3, start the Alarms and Clock app from the Start Menu apps list. Okay, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to type here to search. Let me put my cursor in here, and I'm going to type alarms. As I type, you can see that it begins automatically to look for things that match what I'm typing. Well, Alarms and Clock app shows up here. I can go ahead and click on that, and I have completed the task successfully, correctly. Send Word 2019, Start Word 2019 using the Start menu. Okay, again, I'm going to go over to this Start menu, lower left-hand corner, click on the Start menu. Now, I can look for the application I want in 2 different places here. The first thing that I see are those applications that have been brought to the top because I've used them most. So these will be the applications, and there will only be about 6 of them. It won't put a bunch up here, but there will be applications here that if you have used a particular application a lot or recently, it'll be up here. And here I can see I've got Word. Well, if I don't see the application I'm looking for under most used, Then I'm going to scroll down, and the apps are in alphabetical order. So I'll scroll down to the W, and there's Word. I will click on Word, and I've successfully completed that one. When I say click, I am using my right, I'm clicking on the right button on the mouse if I'm using a right-handed mouse. If I'm using a left-handed mouse, I would be using my left index finger on the left button. Right now I'm using a right button, right-handed button. Task instructions: maximize the setting windows and then restore the windows to its previous size. Okay, so here's the size that the settings window is right now. And what it wants me to do is to maximize this. In order to maximize, or what it means to maximize, is that I make this one window large enough that it covers the entire screen, or the entire desktop screen. And I'm going to go to these three buttons in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. The first button, when I float over it, says to minimize. That would take my application down. It doesn't close it, but it just puts it down here on my taskbar and just has it wait for me for a little bit. I'll no longer see it on the laptop or on the desktop. The far right one is the close button. If I were to click that, that would close the settings window. So it's the one in the middle that I want, which is the maximize button. So I'm going to click maximize. Now notice how it fills the entire desktop. The next thing the instructions want me to do is to restore the window to its previous size. So I want to take it down again. Well, look back up at these three icons, upper right corner, and notice that that one in the middle that was maximized now looks different. It's got two, it looks like it's got two pages, and it wants the hint says restore down. So when I click the button now, it's going to restore it back to what it was before I maximized it. Task instructions: start File Explorer. File Explorer is in Windows where all of the files and folders, all the information, applications, everything that you have on your computer is stored. It's in one place. And I can find that file cabinet, that's what I call it, right down here in this is the taskbar. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my computer, and this is not the simulation taskbar. Here is the taskbar in the simulation, and there is the File Explorer. When I float over it, I get the pop-up hint that tells me that's the File Explorer, and all I have to do is to click on it. And I've done it successfully. Now, close Word, saving the current document before closing the app. Hint: attempt to close Word first before saving. So I'm not going to save this document, although if I were working on a document, I would certainly save everything that I've done to it before I ever attempt to close. But we'll play their game right now, and we'll try and close this without saving. So I'm going to go up here to the upper right-hand corner, and here's that X, and there's my close button. I'm going to click on that. Well, here's what happens if I try to save and I still have unsaved actions in my document. Word is going to alert me. Actually, Windows, regardless of what app I'm in, Windows is going to alert me, and it's going to say, do you want to save changes to whatever document it is? And of course I want to save them, although there are occasions when I might. In this case, yes, I'm going to save it, and then it will shut down Word. So it's a nice fail-safe for us. If we try and close something before we've saved, it's going to ask us about it. Task instructions. Switch to Excel to display the open workbook. Now, the operative word here is open workbook. The reason it's operative is because that tells us that Excel is already open on the desktop. It's just not showing. Well, remember when we minimized something. We said it was going to put it down here on the taskbar. Well, look right down here, because here's the Excel spreadsheet workbook that is open, but it's minimized. So I'm going to click on it in the taskbar, and now it opens it so I can see the entire thing, and now I can work on it on the computer. Task instructions: close the settings window. So what it wants me to do is to close this window, not the entire computer. So I'm going to go to the upper right-hand corner of that window. And there's my X. And ordinarily, when I float over it, it would tell me close. I'm going to click on that red X, and it closes the page as I was instructed to do. Display the desktop without minimizing or closing any windows. Okay, so right now we're looking at a rendering of our file cabinet. Well, it's sitting on top of the desktop. In fact, if you remember that, everything you're doing is sitting on top of the desktop. What I want to do is I want to look at the desktop, but I don't want to close anything. I don't want to minimize. I just want to go look at my desktop. Now this one you're going to want to look at closely. In the far lower right-hand corner of the computer screen, you're going to see, as far over on the taskbar as you can get, a thin line that separates about the last quarter inch of that taskbar. You'll barely be able to see where my cursor is pointing, but that's what you click on to show the desktop without closing anything. When I click on that, my desktop comes open without closing anything else. Pin Outlook to the Start screen. Well, let's go back to the Start menu, or the Start button. If I click here, now what it wants me to do is to pin Outlook to the Start screen, which is here. I'm going to go find Outlook. I can find it or at this point, because I've used it a reasonable number of times, it's under Most Used. If it's not, I would scroll down in alphabetical order until I find Outlook down below. And what I'm going to do is right-click on Outlook. I'm not going to use my index finger. I'm going to use my middle finger on my right button of the mouse, and that opens a pop-up window, and it gives me the option to pin to Start, and that's what I want to do. I'm going to pin Outlook to the Start, and see it. You can see it was sitting right down there. For the Photos tile, turn Live Tile off, then turn Live Tile on again. Now the tiles they're talking about are over here in the Start window. Let's open this, and here's the tiles that they're talking about. And there's two levels of them. Here's the photos, and you can see that it's turned on because I've got a live photo in there. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to unpin. Nope, I don't want to unpin because that would remove it from my tile. I'm going to go to More, and I'm going to simply turn the live tile off. So if I click that now, it's turned off, so I don't see any photos in there at all. If I want to turn it on again, I'm going to right-click, and I'll go back to the More button, and this time I will turn Live Tile on. Click it there, and we've got it. Next task, resize the settings window so that it covers the right side of the desktop. Okay, so we're on the settings window, and we want to resize this. We don't want to maximize, we don't want to minimize. We're going to do a specific sizing, and it wants us to size this window so it covers this right-hand side of the desktop window. So I'm going to come over to the right-hand edge of that window, and I'm going to float on top of it until I can see this horizontal double-headed arrow. And that's my resizing pointer. I'm going to click and drag. I'm holding my click down and I'm dragging this to the far right. And when I'm through, I'm going to let go, and it resized it. Okay. Now it wants me to resize the start menu so it's wider. Now, it doesn't tell us how much wider, but I'm going to show you here what's going to be the correct answer. I'm going to click the start menu, and here is the start menu that it wants me to resize. Again, I'm going to come over here to the far right edge of the menu as it is now, and I'm going to click and hold that. I'm going to pull it far enough until I can see both tile windows on the same level, and that's the correct width that it wants it enlarged to. I'll let go, and I did it correctly. In the Microsoft Store, display details about the Fresh Paint app. Well, this is Microsoft's opportunity to do some marketing. So it has a direct link to the App Store. I'm going to click on the Start menu, and then over here in the tiles, I'm going to scroll down, and sure enough, there's my store. I'm going to click on Store, and now I want to find the Fresh Paint app, and I want to click on it in order to show more information on it. So if you're looking for anything on the Microsoft App Store, that's how you can get to it quickly. Use the Tips app to display a list of help topics. Okay, let's go back to the window, and let's see if it's in those tiles. I want the Tips app. So I'm looking here, and I don't see the Tips app here. Nope. If I scroll down here, there's Tips. There is Tips right there. I also could have gone down here to type here to search and typed Tips, and this would have come up where I could see it and be able to open it. So I'm going to click on the Tips app, and it wants me to display a list of help topics. Well, let me show you something. I don't see help topics here, but if I look over here to the far right, I can see a scroll bar, and I can tell by the length of that scroll bar that I have more at the bottom of this. And if I just scroll all the way down, and now I'm at the bottom of it, and this says Browse All Tips. Let's see, it wants a list of help topics. Here's the basics. Let's see. And I'm using my scroll button. Let's see if this will do it. Try again, incorrect. Okay, so where is help topics? Help topics. Let's see if this is it. Browse all. I did it correctly. So that lighted light bulb is the help topics. It wasn't labeled as such, so I had to try a couple of clicks. Now it wants me to sign out of Windows 10. It does not say close it. It doesn't say to close it or to shut down the computer. I'm going to go back over here to the Start menu. Now remember over here in the lower left corner of the Start menu, I've got 3 icons. The top one is the user. Right now I'm on user 1. I'm going to click user 1, and I'm going to sign out. There we go. I've signed out, and I've completed that task. I've also completed, let's see, it sent me back. I'm not sure why it sent me back here. Oh, I need to, it should have, and I'm not sure why it didn't, but it should have, since I completed them all successfully, it should have sent me to a screen to ask me if I wanted to submit. I know I've already completed this one correctly, so I'm going to click on my submit button. And now, do I want to submit the assignment? Yes, I do. I don't have any reason to print this, and so I'm simply going to close it. Now, assignments submitted, you want to look for that, and then I'm going to close this. Now, mine, again, I don't see my scores, my individual personal scores here. However, this is where you will see yours. You will also see, you may also see your scores next to the listing for the training or the exam, whatever the activity is. So look for your scores in MindTap. However, all scores are transferred. Now, it may not be immediate. They may do it once every hour or 2 hours, rotate to sync MindTap scores into D2L, but all scores from MindTap are taken into, are submitted into your, or synced with your grade book in D2L. And that's where you'll find the running average, your average today. So right now, there's the Pulse app. If you want to put this on your phones, it'll give you an opportunity to see how things are going on your course. You'll get notice anytime I send you an email too. So this is what your personal grade book will look like, and this is the one that you want to keep track of. Here is your current average, and that's what you'll see here. So once you're finished with that training, then you can go on and go to the SAM exam. Remember, you have 3 attempts on that. Everything is due on January 20th, 11:59 p.m. your time on the East Coast. Thank you, and I will stop this recording. As always, give me a call if you need anything.